APA databases. All right, so what we're covering today is going to be the AI tools that are integrated into APA PsycInfo's research services. I'm assuming that most of our attendees here today have a little bit of basic knowledge about database searching. Instead of focusing our demo onto the PsycInfo Classic database, we're going to be looking at the research services platform instead. So if today is a little bit fast or a little bit too in the weeds, or if you want more information about the database searching, please do feel free to check out the other webinars we're offering this year. Patty will be leading in the coming weeks a beginner webinar and an advanced webinar for the database. And then there's 2 more sessions of this one. And you'll also be receiving the recording today if you've registered. So we're presenting in Zoom today. This one might be set up a little different than what we're used to. Instead of a meeting, this is a Zoom webinar setup. You can choose, oh, someone's turned on the transcript already. Excellent. This means that if you want to ask me a question, you can use the Q&A tool, the Q&A box, or you can raise your hands to be unmuted. The chat function is going to be outgoing only for me and Patty to send some files or some links toward you. But hey, this is a live training, so I do want to take advantage of the fact that you can ask me questions like while I'm in the middle of something. I'll do little breaks between sections to make sure we're all on the same page, and then there will be more time at the end for additional questions. Okay, so what we'll cover in today's session, we have some intro slides and some closing slides, but the actual platform demo of the PsycInfo research services is where we'll spend most of our time today. Okay, so we're going to do a very bird's eye level view of AI. On this first slide, I borrowed these elements of socially responsible AI. They were set by our government's, well, I say our, I'm based in the US right now, the National Institute for Standards in Tech from a few years ago. As librarians and academics, we all know, garbage in, garbage out when it comes to data. Any search or discovery tool, any AI summary is only going to be as good as its underlying data. So keeping these principles in mind, here's how we're working with artificial intelligence with APA's databases and other academic resources so far. The quote at the top is from our head of product, who's named Aaron Wood. And then you can see that we're setting up our AI with a walled garden approach. And there's some more bullet points sort of describing what I mean when I say a walled garden. One of the major things is that because of our long history and our millions of records in our PsycInfo Classic database, we already have a big data pool of scholarly research that's been peer reviewed and is secured behind paywalls according to like the copyright and licensing standards of other publishers and our industry, right? So we're already at the point where we have a large data pool that is accurate and legal to share with our customers, via certain linking pathways. The other important thing to keep in mind is that we are not using generative AI in our tools at this time. We're using artificial intelligence to assist with topic mapping, basically document to document, topic word to topic word, and then a little bit we're matching topics and documents to user profiles, right? So it's basically assisting with relevance. It is not trying to summarize data. And so there's no potential for hallucinations, right? We're using this in a very specific application with a trustworthy pool of underlying data for now. That's as much as I was going to say about AI. It's a little more philosophical and business practice, not going so much into the technicalities. If you have very specific questions about the AI, feel free to put that in the Q&A and we can circle back and maybe even potentially loop in some product colleagues to get you the best answer to that question. Okay, so the newest tool that we have today and how we're going to start our demo is called Semantic Search. So even if you were using APA's research services a couple months ago, you may have had to start by browse, and now we offer a search option, right? So again, this is using, topic to topic and topic to document mapping. But this is a significant change that, as many of you who search the classic database know, you have to have an exact string match. The phrase you type in has to match a keyword or, an index term or an abstract or a title or something. But now you can get that vector mapping to pull in related research that does not exactly match the search string. When I say search string, I mean the specific characters that you typed. Again, this is not Q&A prompting for generation. We're looking at conceptual similarity, but that's sort of the newest and the most exciting AI application of that tool. Okay, so when I say APA PsycInfo Research Services, this is what I'm talking about. First, an overview of what I'm calling PsycInfo Classic, PsycInfo Database. This has been around for decades. It's got almost 6 million peer-reviewed records. This database includes our own APA published journals and books, as well as from thousands of other publishers who work in psychology or the related behavioral sciences. It's an abstracting and indexing database. So we have, metadata, such as the searchable fields, the abstract in these records. And then the linking to full text sort of depends on the other holdings that your library has. Like if you subscribe to Elsevier and you're on your library's version of PsycInfo, then you'll get the link to Elsevier, right? But it's like collaborative, right? Based on what your school has chosen to purchase. We have, for those almost 6 million records, we have an even larger number, over 170 million of cited references in APA style. Cited references, right, looking back in the past, and then the cited by tool, which looks into the future. You can pull up a record and see who has cited this since it's been published. So these are the same sort of components, right? The metadata fields, the full text linking to other publishers, and the cited references web. We're using this data as the foundation to create our research services for discovery. So one nice thing about research services, a couple key points. First of all, if you subscribe to APA PsycInfo, you have this right now already. If your school has the PsycInfo database on any of the platforms, PsycNet, EBSCO, ProQuest, or Ovid, then you can go to this link here, the psycinfo.apa.org, and go ahead and open it up and get started exploring or to follow along. The other nice thing, so first of all, included with PsycInfo already, part of your subscription is at the second URL. The research services look the same for everybody. So whether you get APA databases on PsycNet, EBSCO, ProQuest, or Ovid, we're all using the exact same platform for research services. Not just similar platforms, but actually the same design. So what I'm going to show today is going to be equally relevant to everybody, no matter which vendor gives you APA PsycInfo. Yeah, so we see screenshots of the topic and citation mapper tools here. A couple other tools we're going to show today. You can't get a lot of the data out of these small screenshots, but the idea is that they're a little more visual than the text-based databases you may be more used to searching. So visual design, but also a lot of numerical data, the ability to sort of number crunch, the most related or the most cited and things like that. In addition to relevance ranking, you can also do some numerical ranking. Okay, I'll pause here and see if anybody has any questions so far.
Not seeing anything so far, Marta.
Okay, cool. Um, so I know many who are attending today are librarians, and their main question will be, okay, you said it's a second URL, the psycinfo.apa.org. How am I supposed to access that? Do I have to set up a proxy or an open Athens or anything link resolvers? And the answer is no, it should be good to go. As always, make sure that you're logging in within your institutional network using your institutional email, so you will be recognized as a customer. But basically, your email is your access. And many of the publishers are using this get FTR service, and it'll basically check like the organizational part of your email or your email domain and say, oh, yeah, they should have access to this. And then the full text link will give you a PDF. So similarly to APA PsycInfo, we are describing the research published by other academic publishers, and we are linking you to the full text whenever we can, depending on which other publishers your university subscribes to, right? So to put this another way, these are sort of the best case to least direct options. Sometimes you'll get a button that says view PDF and it'll just open in a new tab, full text downloadable right there. Sometimes you will be taken to the publisher's DOI page. On that DOI page, there might be a PDF, there might be a prompt to log in again to your campus network. And if you don't have access, then you will see the option to purchase it or to put in the ILL request. And then, of course, some of the PDFs are going to be open access, so everybody can see them regardless of your school's holdings. Right. So, in summary, APA PsycInfo Research Services, we're discovering content. Much of it will be freely available to you, and we are offering the most direct linking to full test that the publisher allows, right? Our research services can't override any licensing or access controls that another publisher has in place. We can't grant access to something another publisher has behind a paywall. Um, but this was on the previous slide. There's also a little bit of full text beyond what you find in the PsycInfo database. We're pulling in more open access full text from PubMed, PsyArchive, and some conference materials that go beyond the scope of PsycInfo. PsycInfo database, I should say. So again, if anybody has really specific questions about access, if you think your school is doing something different or there seems to be any issues, um, follow up after, put it in the Q&A. I can do some technical digging when the training is done and try to get that figured out for you. But that was just sort of the overall, here's how we're using AI, here's what our tools are trying to do, here's how you can get access to them. And now it is time to enter the research demo part. Before we do that, let me go ahead and launch the first poll. And this first poll is just asking you to share some, like, how familiar are you with these tools we're about to demo? Just a little curiosity about our audience today. Okay, and we're going to switch into research demos now. Okay, so I see some of you are applying to the poll. Thank you for that. Hopefully you are now seeing me screen sharing the PsycInfo Research Services page, and it looks like we are, which is wonderful. So this is PsycInfo Research Services. Notice the URL. If you're logging in for the first time, or if it's been a while, put in your institutional email. It will send a verification code to your email, but that second factor authentication only happens once every 30 days when you're on the same machine. So it might be like a little extra step to get in the first time, but like I did not have to put in my code today since I'm a more frequent user. Okay, so to start our first demo, okay, cool. Looks like we have a good variety of experience with using this tool based on that poll. Okay, so to start our first demo, we're going to go right up here into the semantic searching, and I'm going to type in the phrase brain scan and run that search. So the results page now is going to load in two columns. One is showing the most recent and the other is showing the most relevant. Each of these results, I'm calling them cards, represents a single journal article. So already we can see how the AI is helping with the topic mapping and the topic to document mapping. None of these are showing the phrase brain scan in their titles at least, but you see we have neuroimaging, amyloid imaging, amyloid scan, tomographic scan, right? So it's helping me turn my sort of everyday language into more technical language with these search results. And here we have a couple examples of how the full text linking works. So view PDF, open access. Um, there we go. That's just the PDF in a browser tab that anybody can use. And then full text from publisher will be taken to this journal. It's from Wiley. And then here's the PDF again. So coming from APA, I don't have access to this PDF, but if your school has Wiley Library, you can log in. And if you don't have Wiley Library, then you can purchase. So that's kind of how that full text linking works. We're going to go ahead and open a record by selecting the title. So when you go into a record here, so again, this is a journal article, as it says at the top, you can see kind of how this grew out of the PsycInfo Classic database. We have our full text link again, our citation, our abstract. You can view all the metadata record if you want to. But today we're going to focus on what makes these research services a little different. And we're going to go first into the topic mapper tool. This is based, for those of you who have used the thesaurus in our APA databases, it can also be called searching by index terms or searching by subject terms. It's our controlled vocabulary, the thesaurus in PsycInfo. It's so that's comparable to mesh headings for those of you who might be searching in PubMed. So again, it's based on the constructed metadata we already had, but it's going to be AI enhanced because we're going to get more related terms sort of beyond what we had in the original thesaurus. And again, the navigation is a little more intuitive, a little more visual, and you're getting these stats as we go. So neuroimaging was one of the thesaurus terms applied to this record. And now we have it in the center of a topic mapper. I can open up the legend. It's showing me the colors for broader, narrower, and related terms. So again, some of this comes from the thesaurus, which you may be used to using, and then we're getting additional yellow related terms that are from the thesaurus. Every term here has the number of articles where that thesaurus term appears in PsycInfo. This makes sense that brain appears more often than radiologists, for example. And for whichever term is in the center, whichever topic word, you can export a list of the top cited PsycInfo articles, sometimes book chapters, sometimes dissertations. Those are the three main types of research documents. So you can export those as well. If I want to change the center, I can go ahead and click on tomography. In addition to top cited in the right-hand column, there's also this info tab, and it's pulling in the scope note from the thesaurus. So it's defining what neuroimaging means to APA within this research tool. And if I select a different one, the tomography, and I go back to top cited, it's going to have a different list. So that's sort of showing how you can use topics to find other topics, to find like a new list of research. Follow this title link to go back to the main page, and then we're going to see how Citation Mapper works. Again, this is drawing on that data that our PsycInfo Classic database already has in place. It's just making it a little more visual and adding some more data than what can be shown in like a text-based list. So for a citation mapper, the arrows point to the past. So we see our 2013 Lingler articles in the center, and it's showing all the people since 2013 who have cited this particular document. Again, we have a key in the lower right. The newest research is going to be dark, and the most cited research is going to be a bigger circle. So that's sort of what this is showing visually. I can go find, where's the one I like? Largent 2003. Why am I not finding them? Oh, there we go. So this is sort of a dark circle and a bigger circle. If I hover over this, it's showing me the web within a web. If I single click, I get the citation. And then if I double click, again, it's going to change the citation mapper to have this new one at the middle. We can export this list, the cited references from Largent 2003, who's now in the center. And we also have the option to add some filters. So you can show basically who did this person reference in the past versus who has referenced them into the future. You can change that visualization. You can say, show me the last 5 years and apply those filters. So now it is let me do this. Oops. I accidentally unchecked them both. Here we go. Apply filters. And now it's a much more focused graph. For both Topic Mapper and Citation Mapper, you also have the ability to export this visually or as a data table, right? CSV can be opened in Excel. So those are just some different ways to play around with the mappers. I think it's kind of fun to go in there yourself, especially for Topic Mapper, and just work on your area of expertise or on a research project you're assisting someone else with, if you're a librarian, and just kind of see what all is in there. So that was our starting point: semantic search, topic mapper, citation mapper. I think those are fairly intuitive, but again, if there are any questions, let me know. What we're going to do now is use this journal icon, and we're going to go up a level, right? So these mappers, we're exploring this one journal article, but now we're going to go to a layer up and explore a journal overall. In this case, neurology, the journal that article came from. So in these light blue boxes, we see a data overview, how many articles are covered in PsycInfo, how many years, and the top topics. If we want, we can export a list of the top 250 most cited journal articles from this journal. And then there's a shorter list for top viewed, just the top 5. So this is based on PsycInfo users. And then of course, cited is based on other people publishing their work. So yeah, almost 18,000 journal articles in here. Again, you see every journal article looks like a card, kind of like where we started with semantic search. And much like on the side of the mapper tools, we have some of these same filters available to us. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's put this to the last 10 years-ish. When I apply the year range, you can see the counts, the numbers in all the other boxes are going down significantly. For topics, I want to do magnetic resonance imaging. And if I start searching, it's going to pull anything that matches towards the top. For authors, once you type any 3 characters together, it will show you all the authors who have that matched in any part of their name. I'm not going to limit by authors today, but just so you can see how easy it is to pull them up. And then finally, methodologies. I love methodology. This is one of my favorite filters on PsycInfo Classic. I'm not going to use it on this example, but you can view them all in a single box. And if you know that you're looking for a particular type of study, this is the easiest way to limit your search results to that instead of trying to type it in as a keyword, which can have mixed results. But our indexers have done this work. So yeah, use it if you can. So now that we've added our 2 filters, we can scroll down to results. You see in the cards now, they have the year sticker and the topic sticker applied in the matching colors, so we remember why these are included here in the search results. And again, for any one of these journal articles, we can go to the full text or we can open the title to go back to the topic mapper and citation mapper tools. Scrolling down a bit further, this is the newest research, and we see a yellow flag here. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. It says updates. And in a new tab that will open, in this case, the document has been corrected. So we see the original link and then two corrections were published after the original publication. So it's nice to have that flagged. So you can see sort of any updates that are important to understand for the original article. Going up to where we can sort our results, newest is the default. You can also sort by time cited. I'm going to flip this to show us the oldest first within our specified range, because in addition to yellow flags, we can also find red flags, retraction. So again, you see all the reasons this was retracted, big yikes. And then in the document status, you can again see the full publication history. There were a couple corrections before this was eventually retracted. So this is like a little pitch about how we're using AI in these specific applications, within academic publishing, relevance ranking, because these are things that we as APA, a long-term academic publisher, understand. If you're using the free web to look for scholarly information, it will probably not know to flag things as having been later retracted, right? I know that ChatGPT has a mode called consensus that limits it to scholarly publications. So you could say it's sort of roughly analogous to Google versus Google Scholar. But of course, when you have AI on the open web scraping things, they're looking at a lot of abstracts, they're looking at a lot of sort of pre-pub versions because that's what it can see for free. And in those cases, retractions won't be a part of it. And it won't know that that's a very important link to make. So just want to let everybody know that we are adding these things to our research services. So if you end up finding a result that has corrections or retractions, it'll be very easy to spot that visually. Okay, if there continue to be no questions, we're going to go ahead into our second platform demo. Going back to the home page now, right? So we started with our semantic search. You can also start Discover APA PsycInfo, which is a little more browsable. Again, the majority of the content in PsycInfo, whether we're on the classic database or we're in these research services, is journal articles, but book chapters and dissertations also, there are going to be, probably hundreds of thousands of records of each of these. So I'm going to start in journals again, but just so you know, you can search and browse for books and dissertations as well. So here we are in journals, and this is going to be the first little hint about how my personal user profile is interacting with the site, right? So the more you use your research profile, the better your customized recommendations will be. So I've been using this platform for like 5 years, right? Because I got access to a beta version since I'm APA staff. So at this point, it knows my preferences pretty well. So the first thing it's showing me is a list of all the journals that are in my notifications. So if you use this for a long time, you'll start to get this option, journals you may be interested. So again, it's doing some of that topic to topic, topic to user profile mapping. But if you keep scrolling down, you'll get trending journals. That's overall for everyone. And then you have browse all journals, right? So anybody who's new to using this, they can browse all journals, they can look at trending journals, they can use semantic search. But if you return again and again to research on the same topic, which might happen for faculty or for like upper level graduate students, especially, undergrads maybe, if they're doing a semester or a course long or a capstone project, something that they're going to be researching for longer than like just the night before, this can become useful. So we'll start in Browse All Journals, which is again available to everybody, no matter how new you are to using this. And in this case, the results list, these are not articles anymore. Every one of these cards is a journal. So we've gone up to the biggest level, right? There's the record level tools, there's the Explore journal that we were just on, and now we've gone up a step so we can look at all the journals as our search results list. A lot of the tools are going to be the same. And we have data now in the journal cards that's a little bit different. Everybody is going to see how many articles, how many citations, and then I'm going to see how many times that an article from this journal has been sent to me over the months and years that I've had a user profile set up. So it's showing those stats, and you can also filter by those stats, right? So in the search box today, I'm going to put education on my mind. My oldest kid has just started kindergarten, and it's very interesting to see how much kindergarten has changed since the 1990s when I was going. I would say mostly good things. It seems like a great place for him. So selecting some publication years. Again, we want journals that are publishing, um, in the recent years. We can filter our content type to just journal articles. You see that journals have sometimes other kinds of content types, including things related to retraction, but we'll say just journal articles for now. And for topic, I'm going to go ahead and say kindergarten. Okay, so now if I scroll down, we'll see a smaller list of journals by card. We get those colorful stickers to remind us why this is included in the search results. And I have the option for any of these. It won't take me to a full text page, right? Because this is a whole journal, but it will take me back to that Explore journal page. So let's do early childhood education. That seems like a good fit for my topic search. Now, when you move from Discover journals or Browse all journals into a Explore journal page, right? If you move from all journals to just one journal, it remembers your filters. So I'm getting now a list of journal articles that's like pre-filtered based on what I said before. Let's go ahead and limit by just one author so we can see how that works. Using games and activities to increase inhibitory control skills. Cool. That definitely sounds personally and professionally interesting to me. So again, we have the full text option, and we have the option to go into the page for this record. So the last couple tools we're going to show on this record page, the final mapper, which is for authors. So we'll open this up, and this is a very basic. Ooh, I moved my mouse and some things happened. A very basic mapper tool. Yeah, oh, now you can scroll in and out. You can move it around. You can drag it around. Um, you can play around with the mapper, especially if you think you might want to export it in some way. So Kaylin Lambert, it looks like this is her first publication, is why her author mapper is so small. She has one publication and two co-authors. So as long as you have a single publication with a single co-author, you get an author mapper. If you don't see an author mapper, it's probably because that author has never collabed, right? So often if you see a dissertation, that'll be somebody's first publication and on their own. So you typically won't see the author mappers in dissertations, just for where it applies. So you kind of know the lay of the land for these mapper tools in general at this point. This is our most recently added mapper tool. It does not really have a direct parallel in PsycInfo. Of course, we have the co-author data from the PsycInfo Classic database, but there's not really a way to explore that unless you come here to the research services and use the author mapper tool. So the legend down here shows us, again, bigger circle means more publications, and a thicker line means more co-authored publications. So we see the line is pretty thick between the two authors who aren't Kaylin. And that, of course, Cynthia DiCarlo is how we got here. And she has the most publications so far. So we can single click any name to kind of see their stats. So she has 2, she has 1, and then Cynthia DiCarlo has 18 publications plus 62 citations. So we'll go ahead, double click, and now Cynthia DiCarlo is the center of the mapper tool. You can see the spread out looks kind of like citation mappers, but of course this is charting co-author relationships. We can see even at this zoomed out glance that some of these lines are thicker than others. And some of these circles are bigger than others as well. As we've seen for other mapper tools, you're getting the list of the publications by this author. We can filter by date, by content, by topic, by methodology if we want to. What can we see here? Right, and the publication list is going to be the newest first. And if there's a tie between the newest, then the one with most citations will be first. So that's how this publication list is ordered. We see down at the bottom, Katie Cherry is a nice big circle. So again, we can hover for her map within the map, see who her co-authors are and the thickness of the line. Click once for the stats, and then double click, and now Katie Cherry is the center of the map. And again, when a map looks like this, that's maybe when some of those filters can start to be useful. You notice for publication year, it's going to like sort of, it started out looking like this, right? It's going to kind of tell you the oldest and the newest available, so you don't have to guess what the starting point for your filters will be. Okay, and again, as we said, you can rearrange the map a little bit if you want to. Now that Katie Cherry is the center of the node, there's one last thing we wanted to see. Under publications here, we see the author name, and this is going to take us to an author info page. This is our newest discovery tool. You can see it's designed a little bit like Explore a Journal, but in this case, it is Explore one author. We have her basic stats. We link the ORCID page when that's available, so you can find potentially more information on this author. And then down here, we have all of her publications within PsycInfo and everything we cover, and you can sort those a few different ways. And again, these cards are journal articles. So you can go to full text, you can go open the record and go to any of the mapper tools. So that was all the research services I had to show you today. If there are still not questions, we're going to sort of end with the beginning, and I'll show you how you can create your user profile. Some of you may have already figured that out, but that's how it goes. So I have already created a profile, and it's remembering it here in my preferences. It reminds you to put in the right institutional email. If you put in a Gmail, or if your school does not actually subscribe to PsycInfo, you won't get access to this. My current interests are pretty big picture and broad. Since I'm not researching with this account, I'm just demoing. But you see in the example, you can put in much more specific phrases. A couple options to include PubMed, an option for published authors, and there you go. And if you're here for the first time, it'll take you to the sign up link. And this is just a blank preferences page for you to fill out what you want. Sign me up. So once you create a user profile, this will do a few new things for you. First of all, you will start receiving a weekly at most email digest. Let me open up what one of those looks like. Yeah, the digests come out every Monday. I get one every Monday because, again, autism in women, there's always going to be something new published in PsycInfo. But if your topic search is a little more specific, you'll only get the emails or the research notifications on the weeks where there's new research matching your topics. And if you are not like a big email person, so this is how it looks in the digest. It's linking directly to articles and books. And then underneath that, there would be conferences. It comes from PsycInfo services at apa.org. But if your inbox is a mess, you can get the exact same research notification here on the homepage. This is from July 15th, I think. So this is exactly the same as the email, same data, same links to records. So there's a couple different ways that you can keep track of your notifications, right? And that's telling you when there is new content added, right? So if you've already done a research and built your bibliography, this is just a way to like, oops, I closed out that whole tab. Here we go. To just keep up with the latest without having to like manually rerun a search. And again, the more time you spend in your user profile, that will start to inform your recommended content on the site. We saw there was some recommended content within the Discover tools. So yeah, again, it's optional how much you want to set up a topic-based user profile. You don't have to, but if you think you'll be researching the same topic for months to years, it can help. You get the recommended research through your notifications and through some other places as well. Okay, so as a summary on the homepage, these are all the different ways you can begin discovery. Semantic search up here, discover and browse over on the left. You can jump back into recently viewed, whether that's an author, a journal, or a record. And then if you're receiving your own notifications, you can catch up with the latest, or you can jump into explore all. So if you're catching up after a long time, you have the ability to sort and filter within just your notifications, right? So try to keep this homepage, I don't really keep closing that tab, very flexible. I know people sort of have different research methods, different preferences, but there's a bunch of different ways you can jump in, whether you're continuing research or whether you're setting this up as a newcomer. All right, so in summary, here's our takeaways. Both PsycInfo Classic Database and PsycInfo Research Services are the same product. It's two URLs, but it's the same product. If your library has purchased one, you have access to them both. Our discovery tools here can be at the level of a record, a journal, or for the whole research collection. Records are linked to each other, sometimes through direct metadata, like author to title, co-authors, thesaurus term, citations, but we also have AI enhanced linking, related research, topic to topic, and then again, pairing documents to a user profile. We hope to satisfy for an artificial intelligence tool that you trust the AI is making accurate recommendations when it connects like with like, and that the underlying data set is good data to begin with. And we hope to satisfy for a research product that we're focusing on the full text, easy navigation, and then the option to have the AI continually personalize your experience. As I should have said, setting up your account with the topic mappers is kind of the seed to get your personal notifications. But after that point, um, the tool will sort of keep track of which articles you're actually engaging with, and it'll start recommending things that are more specific than just your initial search terms. So it's sort of learning, oh, well, when we send you 10 articles, these are the two that you opened. And when you went exploring through the author mapper, these were the three more that you opened, right? So it's sort of a feedback to make it continually more relevant to the way you're actually doing your research. Okay, so we have about 15 minutes left in our time. If nobody has questions, I'll go ahead and go through the closing slides, but if anybody wants to see anything else on the platform, now is a great time to let me know.
No questions at the moment, Marta. I'll let you know.
Okay. I see you've been busy in the chat. Everyone's received the link, the slides, right? Yes, awesome. Okay, so the closing slides are really intended to take with you. I think we're screen sharing that again. Yeah. So this is a reminder of what we did and saw today, our top tools and why we think you might like them. and then sort of a little pitch for why we hope you will use our AI services instead of just going to the open web. Again, we have the peer-reviewed trustworthy data. We have the citation timeline with clear retractions to back up, like, who made this claim exactly? We provide metadata so you can kind of see why the research is there, is marked as relevance. And of course, we're providing research beyond what an open web AI tool would be able to discover. But AI is newish for all of us. I am happy to learn from you as well. If your campus is using the PsycInfo research tools, let us know what you think. Let us know what you might like to see added in the future. All right, if you've made it this far, you get to participate in poll number 2 if you want. Let me open that one up. Poll number 2 is just basically when I do the spring semester special, what should our topic be? There we go. What's next poll and launch. Those of you who actually attend my semester specials get a vote in what the next one might look like. Yeah, so most of what's here at the end is a bunch of links. I'll talk about them briefly, but download the slides, take these with you. These are resources, training materials for the PsycInfo research services specifically. Also a link to trial APA PsycInfo, if for some reason your school doesn't have that yet. Oops, going forward in the slides. And these are some of our top training resources for APA databases in general. We have a lot of things linked within that first bullet point, the Search Help and Training Center. This will be able to link you to our blog, our quick reference guides, our YouTube channel, our webinar training schedule, a little bit of note what's new. Over in books world, we have a new handbook coming out, and we have our 2026 publication year, which starts in August. So those ebooks collections are coming out. If you already subscribe to the APA PsycBooks database, then the handbook and the ebooks are going to be automatically added into that database. But if you're buying books sort of as one-off titles, these are new titles for you to consider. Though to be fair, a lot of what's new with APA publications is some of the research services tools that I was just demoing for you. Over for our classic database searchers, we have a few new values for our searchable fields, a new type of population, which is non-binary, a few new document types. In particular, we're trying to make the retractions a little more clear, the difference between the original retracted article versus the notice of retraction. And for data nerds like me, we've got the mega analysis methodology type. Many of you may have heard of meta-analysis, which summarizes publications and reported statistics. PsycInfo's got over 38,000 meta-analyses. Mega-analyses, we have barely 100. They are at this time because they summarize raw data sets that have been reported by others. So I think it's a little harder to find a bunch of raw data sets than it is to find a bunch of p-values or factor analyses. I guess this is also the biggest news for APA publication. We have the APA style manual online, new this summer. Trial link and information link included. This has sections that are kind of like an ebook, but it also has a bunch of interactive tools. We made you wait this long for it, so we made it a little better than just an ebook, and it does have some tools included. And of course, our APA style team has a number of free resources. I know one person who signed up today asked in their registration questions how to cite AI. That was kind of beyond the scope of the webinar, but our APA style experts have that and many, many other questions answered in their blog and on their website, how you can cite generative AI. Okay, psychological help resources. It's early in the semester. So any of you who may be librarians who have like a LibGuide for psych resources, or faculty with a course page, or students who are also TAs, basically if you're in a position that you are listing psychological like academic resources, please consider listing a couple sort of day-to-day psychology resources as well. Um, our organization stays devoted to our mission to promote the advancement, communication, and application of psychology to benefit society and improve lives. Those of us in academia who are doing the research, training the future resources have an important role in that. But with APA, beyond our academic publishing wing, we know a lot of that communication can happen in a more peer-to-peer or a more informal way. So highlighting some of the work from the rest of our organization, um, the most of this slide is showing various crisis lines, but there is also the lower right link for topics, which are a little less dire, and they deal on things like sleep hygiene and ADHD and the importance of friendship. So, we know mental health can be a problem on campuses. I would also say that the apa.org topics page could be good inspiration for somebody who's struggling to pick a topic, particularly in undergrad. I know when I started as my psych major, I was like, okay, well, there's depression and there's schizophrenia, right? Um, but since, psychology really covers quite a lot of human behavior and medical situations and education and business practices and things like that. So, a couple of reasons you might be interested in linking these. And then finally, a little lighter, our marketing teams put together a promotional toolkit so you can let your campus know that your library is providing access to APA databases. All right. We actually came in a little under time. So I will stick around, see if there are any late breaking questions. But thank you all for being here today. Thank you for participating in the polls. Yeah, I may see you in the support inbox or at a future training. I'll also be at Charleston if anyone is attending that convention this year. But yeah, thanks for your time and have a good rest of your day.